Welcome back to another installment in the YouTube fitness channel. Yes, we only have one previous video. If you haven't checked it, go and check it out as what it is like behind the scenes at Built by JH Fitness. But this one, guys, I wanted to bring you a little bit of an insight to what I'm going to be doing this coming July. I'm going to be cycling here from the west of Ireland over to the gates of St. James's Park, finishing at the iconic Alan Shearer statue. Hence why I'm wearing the Newcastle jersey. So with that being said, this past weekend, I want to bring you on a little bit of a journey with me. Is I did my first very long cycle of 140 kilometers in around the beautiful Connemara here in the west of Ireland. I'm not in Connemara, just so that we know. I'm based in the west of Ireland in Clare, in Ennis, just outside it. And just to bring you through what can you say, the details that need to go into it in terms of how to prepare for it. So over the last little while, I have been doing my long cycles. I've been hitting 90 to 100 plus kilometers every weekend, setting off at about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday morning, give or take, depending on when Newcastle are playing. But we know now that the season is now finished, as you'll be watching this. And on Saturday, the 23rd, I took part in the Tour de Connemara, sponsored by Skoda, and what an absolutely incredible journey. It was so tough because of the strong winds, but like that again is, as I say, when you're facing it in one direction, it's got to be in your back the next direction. And how one goes about preparing for that, outside of doing all the hard work in terms of training, get up and onto the bike, making sure that you have all the right gear, is you've got to make sure that your nutrition is on point, because at the end you can have all the fitness, you can have all the mental resilience that you have, but if you don't get your nutrition right, it's going to leave you on your arse. Quite simply, it's just going to leave you on your arse. And with that, how I would have prepared and stuff, if you haven't checked out my Instagram handle either, is I'll pop a link down below that you can go and see what I fueled up with. But I'm going to take you through it here now. So before I set off on Friday night, I made sure that I had some scones, I had some muesli, and I had some jam outside of my intra-workout fuel, which was from Alter Fuel from Conroe Creek. And it's got a really good proprietary blend of carbohydrate mix in there. Why? Because like that again is, it just sits a little bit easier on my stomach. Haven't tried all the gels and all of that jazz. It just quite simply isn't feasible and stuff like that to bring them on, because the last thing that you want to be doing is feeling like you're going to puke or you're going to shit yourself. Sorry for that, but that's potentially what could happen. And I've found that this blend of carbohydrate mix has been absolutely phenomenal in the making of it. And when packing and stuff like that, I just literally went out about my day and stuff as I normally would, spending some time with my kids, and then stopped off in one of the local shops to get some scones, fresh scones that I could bring and utilize for the Saturday. And then I obviously got my muesli mix, and then from there, making sure that I had all my supplements. As I said, the carbohydrate mix, making sure I had the water on board and stuff like that as well, that I was just literally filling up my bag. And like as I said, if you haven't checked out my Instagram handle by now, go and do so, and you'll see exactly what it looked like and prepared into it. So like again, it's just like a very big 6-pack bag is what it is. And just making sure that I had all the right tools, all the right nutrients in there. Why? Because I say the physical training and stuff like that comes easy to me. It can come harder to you as an individual. And like that again, it's incredibly important to have all the spokes and all the wheels of the cogs aligned. Why? Because if one is missing, something is going to let you down. And like as I always say to my coaching team one-to-one, and even my Ginger 8 crew as well, is which I'll pop a link down below as well for the priority list when the next intake opens, is you can only control what you can control. You can't control what's outside your control. So for me and stuff like that as well, was just looking at the weather elements. It was very tough. Why? Because I knew, having looked up the weather conditions, that the wind was going to be incredibly tough, and obviously the terrain. So like then I wasn't sure. I've never cycled that route before. It was 140 kilometers. And like that again is the hills and stuff. So I've got no control over those. I can't smoothen out the roads. I can't make the process or the journey of the 140 kilometers any smoother. Why? simply because those things are outside of my control. So like again, is weather elements outside of your control. If you get a burst tire and stuff like that outside of your control, you just have to have the ability to be able to uh, look at it. You have to be able to change. You have to have the ability to be able to change it. And like that again is you've got to do all that work in the preparation for it. Because like that again is you're not going to look at changing or trying to do something for the very first time when you're out there in the midst of everything. Why? Because it's just incredibly hard to even comprehend or compute something of that nature without having it done before. And as I say, with the nutritional side of things, upon waking up Saturday morning, up at 7, race kicks off at 9:30, and it's not a race in the traditional sense. It's just a sportif is what they've called it. And it's like that again, you're taking the beautiful scenery, but for me and stuff like that, utilizing it as a build up to the 750k cycle for charity. And the two charities that I'm cycling for in to Newcastle for is Failcon and Grow Mental Health. If you're unfamiliar with those charities, do amazing work. But waking up at 7 o'clock Saturday morning, getting my muesli in first, good strong coffee, and then bringing in my 2 scones and my rhubarb and ginger jam, which was sourced locally as well. And why do I utilize that? Because those are the fuel sources that suit me best and help me best. But like that again is, for the reason for the strong coffee is to make sure you have a good poop. So like that again is the last thing that you're comprehending is of having to find a ditch somewhere and stuff like that and bring some toilet paper whilst you're out on it. So from there then I just familiarised myself with the just obviously the town that was in, Clifton, and then made my way down to the start line. Was about 30 minutes beforehand, just get up on the bike, make sure everything's taken over, all the gears and stuff like that I would regularly go through, making sure my footwear and stuff like that was good. And like that again, having my gear on me, and like that again is an absolute game changer for me. Was I was gifted some cycling shorts and a bib and a cycling top from Failcon, and has been an absolute game changer. Why? Because it again is it has saved my arse so much, because it is incredibly sore when you're on the bike for such a prolonged period of time. Upon setting off and stuff, I had made it in my mind and stuff like that when it comes to it, and I'm very what can I say, diligent in terms of I set a target for myself. So the one target I set for myself was to stop off at Kylemore Abbey, which is absolutely phenomenal. You'll see a little bit of a picture of it here as well. Beautiful setting, and that was my checkpoint Charlie to get to from setting off. So that was about 120 kilometers in, so I only had 20 kilometers left when I stopped at Kylemore. And like that again is some people will do it for many different reasons, but for me and stuff like that was to get mileage into the legs, to go. And like that again is the wind was incredibly tough for the first 20 odd k, going at a very slow pace. And when I got to the different stop points and stuff, I could have stopped at the different food and fuel stations, to which I didn't, because why? I'd made a commitment to myself to get to Kylemore and just stop there. So that again is just get off, rest the legs, take a picture, get back onto the bike and get back to Clifton and stuff. So the whole duration of the 140 kilometer cycle and stuff took me 5 hours 18 minutes. Just stopping for briefly about 5 minutes. So moving time, you're talking about 5:13, 5:15, give or take. And like again is that was just my thing to do, was just stop once, get back onto the saddle, get back home. And like that again is, yes, you collected a medal, but for me and stuff like that, it's not about collecting a medal. It's about just being able to test myself. From so often than not, people don't what can I say, don't test themselves. They don't have the ability for themselves, or they don't believe in their own abilities, or what their body can do, or what you can do as an individual. Because as I say to my one-to-one coaching team and my Ginger 8 crew, which is my online fat loss accelerator crew, is each and every one of you guys are unique. So you guys that are watching this, really appreciate if you're watching it, but you're unique in your own individual manners in terms of what you can do. Yes, things might be hard. Yes, things might not come easy. But like that again is, once you're being consistent at it and you put the work in to a level and a degree that you're happy and content with, knowing that you can't have given any more, then the result will come. But it takes time. Like that again is, just because, as I'll say, the wind was bad, I just didn't get off my bike and pelt the bike into the bushes and fuck off, back off home. That wasn't about it and stuff like that. It was to just get around, and like that again is however long I had set myself about 4 hours 45 minutes to do, but obviously what was outside my control was the wind, and like that again is we got around in a safe manner, which is always the case regardless of the time, is getting around safe, back to the family, back to the kids, being able to celebrate it with them. And then like that again is just reflecting on it. So as I'm talking to you guys, is this is just raw, unedited, live, is that it was incredibly different, incredibly difficult in terms of certain components that you don't think of that's going to happen. But like that again is it's what makes the journey worthwhile. And like that again is I have the 140 under. I've got to do on the very first day of my cycle for the charities from the west of Ireland to Newcastle. I'm looking at about 200 kilometers. And I came off that bike on Saturday and I said to myself, I could go another 60 kilometers here, but maybe potentially given one or two more stops along the way. And like again is, as I touched on it there in terms of the nutrition side of things, all I consumed on the bike and stuff like that was one of the oat bars, which is bangs a bit of calories in there. It's about 534 calories for like a small bar. And then obviously fueling up with my carbohydrate blended mix, which was incredible. And that's all I needed to get around. So I know from the nutritional fueling station and stuff, that's what will have made the journey that little bit easier. And when I came off and stuff, I was relatively fresh. Yes, a little bit stiff and sore yesterday, which was Sunday. Today, as I'm recording, this is the Monday. But like that again, there's a little bit of movement in the legs, a little bit of stretching, fueling up, nutrition, keeping things simple, has helped aid recovery. I will look to get a massage and stuff like that. But like that again, is if you're interested in following me along for a few more of these get to know me series videos in terms of what I'm doing for the cycle, is do. I really appreciate you clicking that like and subscribe and sharing with your friends, your family, whoever you consume your content. And like again, don't forget to click the Instagram link below, that you'll see what I prepared with in terms of the nutritional strategy and how I pack my bag. And then secondly, and stuff like that as well, is if you want to get your name on the Ginger 8-week fat loss accelerator priority list, you can click the link as well that I'll include in the comment section below in the description. And like that again is I will do another update in terms of how the cycling is going very, very shortly.